Sunday, July 30th, 2023. Welcome back to another live stream. We're joined by Chris Bagnell, and I am Joe from the Network Bits crypto channel. Today we're going to talk about numerous subjects, but particularly Crankk's Beta 2.0 onboarding, where there will be 1,000 spots available to onboard your devices for those of you who want to get in early and give the beta test run. So we'll get into the details of that. We'll take questions from the audience. We'll talk about some peripheral subjects, particularly, I know we say it's a network that shall not be named, but they have some significant events upcoming that impacts the entire ecosystem here. So we'll see some spillover from that. But to start off on a lighter note, as I may say, Litecoin halving in 3 days. So Chris, excited?
Very excited for that. Oh yeah.
Now, many of you may.
I've been tracking.
Many of you may not be so excited for the Helium Halving that is upcoming in 2 days, and of course, that's I believe we're going to see some engagement because of that. Within the LoRaWAN community, some of the people with this hardware will be looking for a new home. So very possible we'll be fielding some questions from that. And there's a lot of events taking place there that I don't really foresee being positive in nature, which I think we should address. The Helium Halving, that's pretty aggressive in comparison to most other networks where they have it every 2 years, which once again benefiting the early adopters and the whales. I've also heard some talk about doing away with IoT and reverting back to just HNT. I'm not sure what they have in mind, but it always seems to pan out similar to government work, or when Congress passes any laws, that it's going to be both riddled with incompetence and some corruption sprinkled in there. So I'm sure it'll be what benefits the powers that be in that system, as usual. But what I'm doing after this halving, so traditionally halvings lead to a spike in price for a short amount of time. And this is not financial advice. As always, I should give the disclaimer that you should consult with a trusted professional before acting on any information you hear in this video. However, most halvings lead to a spike in price because of excitement and a brief moment where there's an offset in supply and demand on the market. So my plan personally, and what I've seen many others doing, a lot of people are trading out their IoT tokens for Solana. And whatever you feel about Solana, I tend to like it for the most part. There are legitimate grievances about that chain. However, you cannot deny the utility and the mass amount of projects that are building on Solana and the I guess innovation that they have in that space. However, you can change it out for whatever you like, but I would like to change it out shortly after the halving, where it may potentially be at an all-time high for IoT. Now we'll see how this plays out. There's no guarantees, and I did make some mention. We'll get to it in a little bit, but my conspiracy theory on the scam, bankrupt, fraud guy, SBF, and why he got off. But Chris, how are your Helium hotspots doing?
I'm glad you asked. So because of Crankk and the Beta 2.0 and the new hotspots they are allowing to be used on the network, I went out and purchased a Lynx dot. Actually, I have 2 Lynx dots. I unfortunately purchased one for the UK and Canada by accident. I got too excited because it was such a good deal. But I have Lynx dots, Fenestra. I bought a Synchro bit. And then I have my Sense caps.
Synchro bit.
And yeah, I got a Synchro bit after all this time.
Finally.
So
me too.
I thought I got scammed too because I opened it up and there was no SD card, but I didn't know there was 2 different revisions. One had an SD card and one has like the onboard memory. So I have to buy this Nebra adapter. Anyway, the 2 Sense caps that I've had on the Helium network for the longest time. They're still supported by SenseCap, by Seeds, so they're still working fine. I'm having issues with the links dot. I connected it to the Helium network. I deployed a location, but it doesn't stay connected to my Wi-Fi network. So I'm not sure if it has to be hardwired to that one in particular. And I can't do anything with the Syncrobit. Like, I have to buy this adapter from Nebra if I want to get it working. I don't know if I can even onboard them now. So at this point, the devices that I have, and I'm sure this is the case for a lot of the other people that have Syncrobits and other stuff, they're just kind of paperweights until the beta 2.0, which is going to give these things purpose again. And I have so much Helium stuff. I have this Fenestra. I just got another Fenestra on the way. I have not tried the onboarding process for this onto Helium, but I wanted to buy all of these devices so that I could make videos showing everybody how to connect them to the Crankk network and possibly dual mine. I don't know if it's going to be easier to dual mine the Syncrobit. Like, I haven't even onboarded it because it's pretty much impossible, as well as the links dot I'm having issues with. I'm not sure if when we install the Crankk image, if it's going to be a lot easier to mine Helium on those devices, because it seems like a more stable firmware. But we're just going to have to wait and see. Waiting on the Crankk team to finish up their tutorials and the write-ups so that we can start working on these devices. Yeah, I see everyone talking about the other devices, Fenestra, Syncrobit, links dot. Who knows? Maybe I'll even give away the links dot that I purchased because I just got too excited. It was such a good deal. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Got a lot of people pouring in all of a sudden. Oh my gosh, H Cobra.
Yeah, there are some good deals out there for those Raspberry Pis. They're few and far between right now. It's going for $100 used, and people who don't understand that many of these previous Helium gateways, many of them are Raspberry Pis. Some are rock chip, some are compute module based. But if you can snag a Raspberry Pi, it'll be well worth your money.
$50 on eBay for this one. I got another one for $60 shipped, like to the door. That includes all the fees and everything. So it's like really good deals right now. And I don't expect these prices to stay like it is. Like we said earlier, this stream is not financial advice, but this reminds me of a time when graphics cards were awfully cheap, and then people found out that graphics cards could make money, and then you couldn't find them anywhere. It's kind of the same how it was with Helium in the beginning with these devices. They were super cheap. You could buy them and actually get them relatively quickly. Then there was that like March, April, May, boom, 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 sold out everywhere, like back ordered months and months and months. And maybe we'll see something similar to again.
We're all in on Crankk. I'm very happy with how this project's coming along, and within the coming months, there's going to be some big news that I think many of you are going to be excited for. That's going to give you even more confidence in the Crankk project. And for those of you who are, you are Helium refugees, we welcome you. And I believe, I believe you do have a voice here. Yeah, and like I've said before, if the license and staking fee is a bit steep for you, you don't want to bite that one off, I encourage you to at least take a look at things Internet Exchange, things IX. As I said before, look, just because the first ones to the party ruined it doesn't mean that it's a bad idea. Unfortunately, we have to work in the shadow of what was just this absolute spectacle of short-sighted thinking, total. I don't know how far you want to go, and whether you want to speculate whether it was incompetence or malfeasance, but we all have our opinions. We all have our conspiracy theories, as many would say. Something that really actually bothered me the past couple weeks is there's a gentleman by the name of BFG Neil. You may know him. He's been on my channel several times to talk about his product TrackPack, and this kind of guy who was involved with Helium for many years. He was one of the early adopters. He's a developer, and he poured so much of his talent and his time and total heart into helping with Helium and building a product on Helium. And he essentially got undercut by this what is it, 1663 Nova, the IoT arm of Helium, the ones that are supposed to be developing these products on the Helium network. And it's really, there was things that were said in, I guess, handshake negotiations, regardless of how business is conducted, or if you want to make the term, if you want to make the argument for capitalism and free markets and all of that. Well, that's great, but you do not treat someone in your ecosystem, someone who's been a contributor, someone who has a following, and one of the most steadfast supporters. You do not undercut them like that. I don't care about any of the arguments. To me, it was absolutely disgusting, and I was actually really irked by something that I heard as well from another stream that I try not to comment on, but like and I end up watching that stream because I heard that the term effing crank was uttered, which is always enjoyable. But of course, what bothered me was saying, he's too good of a dude not to come back. And that's like, when someone's livelihood is undercut and they're backstabbed by people that they thought were friends, that's the kind of crap that I would expect to hear from, someone who beats their spouse. Oh, she'll be back, he'll be back. I mean, is this how you treat people? I don't put anything past them now. I'm very disappointed in how all of that's gone down. And I certainly feel ashamed of supporting that network for so long. So we have an opportunity to do it right second time around and build out this vision. And look, Helium's not the only turds in the punch bowl. You have Pollen Mobile. I'm not sure many of you are familiar with that story. They were a CBRS network type of offering, and they rug pulled. And it's unfortunate that much of the interest and any investment that would have been made in this space, or at least most of it, has disappeared because of these types of shenanigans. And it does bother me, because many of you who've watched us for this long know that Chris, myself, and many of the others involved do believe in this vision of decentralized networks, and this does play an important role in our future. We have to continue on down this path to at least give it our best shot to test if we can make it happen. Real quick, Retro Mike Tech, thank you for the 1999 super sticker.
I was going to mention another thing. John said that centralcomputer.com sells 4 gigabyte pies for $56. That's awesome, but it doesn't have the lower end concentrator that we need to connect to the Crankk network. Am I right? That's separate. So
yeah, you need a hat.
Yeah,
you need a Raspberry Pi hat, and then to buy the concentrator. And the concentrators have become outrageously expensive. They were $20-$30 2 years ago. Now I'm seeing $100.
Yeah, they saw a market for them.
Yeah, it's nuts. And yeah, there still is somewhat of a chip shortage going on. I mean, there's just, for the biggest supplier of routers and switches on the market, Cisco, or at least one of the biggest companies, I got a 6-month lead time at least for the equipment that I'm ordering. So it may very well get worse. Another thing, since we're talking about hard times here, I did want to mention something about this. A lot of people are saying we're at the bottom of the crypto market. And I mentioned this on my last video, where you're hearing a lot of these rumblings about Binance, and who knows if they're rumors or if they're actually true. If you look deep enough, you can find some substance to it. But there's multiple things going on, and I have to credit Pat from Trillion Capital with some of this information, because he's the one who opened my eyes to a lot of this. But you have Sam Bankman-Fried, or Scam Bankrupt Fraud, is essentially getting off scot-free from the criminal charges that were brought against him. And you can credit that to his political donations, sure, but there could be more to that. There very well may be more to that. Is it possible that to get off, he ratted out other executives at exchanges who were doing illegal things, or tipped the government off to whatever whatever inside dealings that were against the law that's happening at these other exchanges? It's very possible that that is the case, and we know that CZ has been a target for some time now. There's a chance that Binance does take a hit. They could possibly go under or face severe legal scrutiny, and that will be worse than what we've seen with the FTX collapse. That will trigger the depegging of USDT. And another thing that was mentioned was this Ripple XRP. Everyone's rejoicing that they supposedly won this case. Now, there was one positive outcome for XRP, which was that they were declared to not be a security. But if you read the rest of the judgment, it was one slap on the wrist after another, one fine after another for things that were deemed illegal or not up to par. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't have the correct terminology for this, but it wasn't the best outcome for them. And to face the fines that they did, are they going to have the money to pay that back? I wouldn't assume so. So as everyone rejoices during this time, acting like we're at the bottom, I'm just, once again, never financial advice, but keep an open mind, keep on the alert. Don't play with money that you're not willing to lose, because we may not be out of the crypto winter for some time to come. Okay, I am stacking my bags where I can, but not too heavy. And we have plenty of time till the next, you want to call it bull cycle, bull market, whatever you'd like to call it. Are we so certain that that trend is going to repeat itself with the kind of scrutiny and regulation that may be coming down the pipe? So plan accordingly. I don't have financial advice for you, but keep an open mind when making decisions like that. John Germain, thank you for the $20 super chat. So one last thing, before we really start hitting the Crankk onboarding, I think we should.
Music.
We got beats playing. Excellent. So, Chris, I seen you made a video about HIP 83.
I did.
Where it's, yes, and that's where Helium reversed the randomized witnessing to first come, first serve.
Oh, yes. That was a little bit of a rant video talk. Yes.
Yes. So do you agree with it, or do you disagree with it, or do you which way do you think they should have gone?
So I'll start like a little bit further back. When they first brought that out, I think the reason they did that is because there was a lot of people that got into the network. I think, how many hotspots were there? Like 800,000, 600,000 people that got onto this network that did not know what they were doing. And that's what it is with everything. You get the FOMO, people buy Dogecoin, they want to go to the moon. That's how it is with anything that explodes overnight, pretty much is what happened. So I think a lot of people were like, I'm not getting any witnesses. What's happening? And then they're saying this person next to me, which of course they have a pristine setup. They're on top of a tower or something. How come this person next to me gets to witness 65 people a day and I'm only witnessing 2? I don't know, because you have it inside of your metal shack house. Like, there's reasons why it doesn't work. So I think that's why they did it in the first place, to make people feel like they were seen, literally seeing other witnesses. And what's up, Chump Change? And now, because the network is pretty much dead, all those people that FOMO'd into the project FOMO'd out. They're like, well, I didn't make any money. No point anymore. Let's sell my devices. And now we're all buying them right now for stupid cheap. And now they can just put HIP 83 and flip it back. And like no one will ever know. So I don't know. It's frustrating because I know there was a huge kickback in the community because it affected rewards. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's numerous theories as to why this was implemented to begin with. And if you want to go with the not so nefarious one, you would say that it's because different manufacturers, ECC chips, which is basically the gateway identity, it's what's used to sign the transactions that traverse that hotspot. So if you receive a beacon, you sign it, send it to the blockchain. They have different speeds at which they can sign on. Some are subpar, some are faster than others. So different hotspots, different brands, the better ones, disproportionately made more.
Yes.
Then there would also be the other the what is also a, I guess, on par with the same theory. I guess a complementary part of that theory is that the off grids would not be making as much as they're worth because they're supplying a significant amount of coverage to the network, much more than the vast majority of hotspots on the network. However, because they're using that 4G LTE connection, they are sending that data back to the blockchain significantly. I shouldn't say significantly slower, but um, much slower in comparison to someone who would be on a cable modem or fiber optic line. Therefore, they were not really. They were actually performing subpar in comparison, or just the same as what a home setup would be, or a tall building setup. So there was really no incentivization for off grids. Now those are the would be the reasonable, rational theories. But if you factor into the equation the fact that we know that people on the inside were cheating, there was an article about it in the news where some
Mhm.
former employees admitted to cheating. We know a few of them personally who did this on the network, and some of them do have pull and clout within that whole helium circle. You'd believe that it has to do with witness stuffing. And there's certain methods of witness stuffing that they actually cause a slight delay when being bounced between locations. It depends on the method that you utilize, but because of that, the cheaters who have been knocking this network dead for years, they weren't able to make as much as they could when they're using certain methods, and that's where random witnessing helped them out. So, however you want to look at it, some people would say that reverting back from randomized witnessing to the first come first reward is actually like some sort of Trojan horse on that network, where because of this now there's a lot of off grids that are affected by this. Now you can make the argument that's been made by some of the Australian guys that the true off grids, the one that are providing the most coverage but really not around a lot of other hotspots, they're not affected because they don't hit that 14 maximum. That's not going to impact them as extreme as it would as someone who's, like, for example, in the hills of Los Angeles, right? Because over in LA it's significantly more dense with hotspots, and the cable and fiber connection hotspots are going to report that witness faster. So the ones providing that coverage on the very hilltops are going to be impacted the most, and it essentially um, they no longer have that incentive to continue providing that coverage because they're not making enough to break even. And yeah, that's the gist of the argument. So, however you want to look at it, does it matter? I guess we'll see how it plays out. We'll see if it was a Trojan horse. Now, if you really want to get into conspiracies, which I'm not sure I buy into this one, but I think it would be absolutely hilarious if it was true. Some would say that that was the Trojan horse that BFG Neo planted before leaving this network because he knew he was about to get screwed. So he wanted to destroy coverage. Now, I don't buy it, but some people are willing to entertain it. So, yeah, I think it's interesting how motives are painted when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah. We have almost 40 people watching this stream right now. This
All
is
right,
your first.
Let's get to Crankk.
Yeah, if this is your first time stopping by, my name's Chris. If you're just now joining us, that is Joe. We run two separate successful YouTube channels talking about crypto, focusing today on Crankk, and we discussed the Helium. We didn't even really discuss the halving a little bit. I mean, statistically, when halvings happen, token price trends upwards. Statistically, it's not financial
We're talking
advice.
about all the reasons to leave Helium.
Yes. However,
join us with Crankk.
However, thanks to Crankk, you can dual mine. So that's pretty neat.
Why would you want to with Helium?
More money for doing nothing. More crypto for doing nothing.
I guess.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want them. I don't want that on my gateways. Sorry.
Well,
it's they don't want to play nice, and they are seriously opposed to actually being implemented on the same devices. So
much for being the people's network. When anytime someone else wants to be a part of the network, they're like, you can be, but you have to pay us a lump sum of money, and then we will consider it possibly. There's an onboarding process in which you might not pass. that's Helium in a nutshell. So I'm keeping it on my 2 cents caps, but all the other devices, I don't think I'm even going to bother. Just
I can't
Crankk all the way.
I can't wait to just wipe all my devices. Oh yeah, I mean it's just such an eyesore. I drove past the grain elevator yesterday, so that's the one that's my best hotspots are going on. It's 100-foot high and it has a 15-foot flagpole, and it's just like such an eyesore to me to know that it's still running that crap.
Yeah,
it's really sad.
Well, I mean, you can see, I think a lot of people agree with us. Like Rain Mac just said, if you hate Helium, then mine Helium and dump it. And you can definitely tell by the token price that seems to be what most people have been doing. They seem to have kind of abandoned that project. And thankfully, Crankk has come to save the day. What'd you say?
Gaming it and dumping it.
Yes. We don't have an exact date for the onboarding 2.0, but we have the week, correct?
Yes, it's this coming week.
Okay.
Yep. So there will be 1,000 spots available. Chris, what is your ambassador code?
Chris, all lowercase, really easy. So
we are
don't remember Joe's.
We are the United States.
If you don't remember Joe's code, this lag is messing with me, dude.
I don't
think
know
my connection is unstable.
StreamYard or what's going on, because this is how it was with the last live stream. So,
all right.
Yeah. So Chris's ambassador code is Chris. Mine is Network, and we are the United States ambassadors. So, if you would be so kind, use our ambassador code when purchasing a license. It does help us out. That is our compensation for the hard work and dedication we provide to the network. But I encourage you, if you are outside of the United States, use your ambassador's respective code. You can find those in the announcements when they come out. And I would add, if your ambassador is active in the Discord and providing assistance. But for those of you who do use my code, I'll guarantee you dedicated support. So I can do. Ambassador codes will be optional this time around, and you won't need a unique personal code. So, as stated prior, and once again, so when you go to, if you want to onboard a device to Crankk, you need $150 worth of KDA to purchase a license, and another $100 worth of KDA that you will convert to Crankk that has to be staked on your device. So you should give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, call it like $265 worth of KDA that you purchase, and then you purchase that license and stake. Now it's one license one staking per device. So for every device you want to put on the network, every gateway, repurposed Helium hotspot, LoRaWAN gateway, you have to stake and purchase a license for it. So if you're going to get 2, you're spending 500 and some change on it. And the licenses are on a first come, first served basis. So be sure to continue to check the Discord, the Crankk Discord. Those are where the announcements will be placed. They typically happen around noon U.S. Central Time, give or take a few hours. But that is when it's most convenient for the majority of the network, as we have a lot of users both in the United States and Europe.
Someone said, yeah.
Earnings.
Does code Voscoin... This lag, man. Someone said, does code Voscoin work? No. Funny 619.
Yeah.
Someone's putting Crankk on their whole fleet, but the only limitation is licenses.
A.k.a. Russ Fromm is a I guess cellular network professional. He's worked in the telecom industry for a long time. Worked at Hexagon. I had him on the one live stream titled Deep in Hell, but he is a wealth of knowledge, and not only limited to the wireless side, but also participates in other crypto mining projects, Flux, Threefold, Presearch, some of the GPU mining. Has been in the CBRS side of things, so definitely a big player in the space. I know many of you will hear from him in the Discord, but warm welcome to the community, Russ. Great to have you on board. So, yeah, any particular questions that you guys have in the chat, feel free to post them, and we'll get to it. I think we should talk about earnings. Would that be a good idea here?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys are joining and you don't even know what we're talking about, we have both made videos on our channels. If you want to check them out on pretty much a basic background of Crankk, what they're trying to do, and we've made some other videos on different aspects of the network. So be sure to check those out if what we covered today isn't what you are looking for, or if we direct you to a video, because it might just cover it better than us talking right now. Steve, I've decided not to get involved in the hardware aspect of any more IoT projects. Helium drained the corporate IoT investment coffers. I'll just participate in the token pumps. Yeah, nice.
Oh.
Nice, Steve. You can just buy... I don't know if there is a video on how to just buy the Crankk token. There are some... I know one of the videos I just put out... What'd you say?
Yeah, I talked about my recent video, but that's 40 minutes of me yammering on about everything for the beta 2.0. This last video I made, it goes over pretty much everything that you need to know. We'll probably be reiterating those points here, but for those of you who have questions, feel free to post them. We'll answer them as best we can in real time. I'm going to share my screen here. I think we should first talk about the types of devices that are available for onboarding as of right now.
Still yet to hear on the other devices. I know they promised a whole bunch coming, such as the Syncrobit.
Yep. We should have guides out for those soon, but if you want to know if your device is supported for onboarding, you can go under the downloads and guides section and take a look at both onboarding full and light hotspots. So Contralino, Codex X3, Heltec Indoor, Minted /Rack V2, Nebra, Indoor, Outdoor, and RockPi, Panther X1s and 2, Pisces P100, SenseCap M1, Broen, Mary IoT, Codex X1, Trigino LPS8, MileSight UG65. Now, MatchX is supported, but if it's been online recently, it's probably pulled the update for version 16. We're still working on a way to break into that one. So it's been a cat and mouse game with MatchX, the Ponzi scheme network, and they seem to really be going under lately, but they're trying to keep everyone from onboarding their devices to different networks, which is just absolutely. Yeah, I'm not really sure if it's considered criminal, but close enough to it. So if you log into your dashboard, look, if your device has been disconnected for over a month, if you're going to plan on putting a matrix on the network, take a look at my video. Don't connect your gateway to the internet just yet. Take it off Wi-Fi. But after you've broken into the boot up process and change the password, then you can connect it, SSH into it, pull the Crankk scripts, and you'll be golden. Now, the other devices that are supported as of right now, Bobcat 1 gigabyte RAM, the Doosun Full Gateway, Finestra, Helium OG, Curlink, Linksdot, and Syncrobit. Now, we'll have guides in the Discord within the coming week for how to onboard these so you can prepare your devices. We have a comment here.
Yes.
So we can onboard the already supported ones in the previous beta onboarding, not only this new one supported. Nicola, that is correct.
I'm very excited to give these secret bits a second chance. I think it's so funny that I actually own one now. I didn't realize how small they are. It's the smallest hotspot that I've seen, although I haven't opened the Finestra yet.
Yeah, back in the day, I mean, Syncrobit was just such a well-working hotspot in the very beginning, but man, our buddy there, Georgica, he certainly mismanaged that company. I mean, just ran it into the ground like it's no one's business.
I remember when I joined, it wasn't even called the Crypto Lab back then. It was called like Syncrobit, unofficial Syncrobit server or something. And I'm like, who are all these people? You're in there, Steve's in there, and they're like just talking. And I thought it was just like no big deal. No one's in there. Little did I know, like I'm looking through the chats and I see Georgica in there. I'm like, what? Like the owner pretty much of Syncrobit is just talking in chat, like posting weird stuff. It's funny,
oh man,
and then
it was just wild. But you know, they were giving us the boot because we were trolling him a little bit. And man, we met some of our best friends in there, and that's how the Crypto Lab spawned, and then moved over to Blockchain Bay. And yeah, a lot of good people are still around today, and we might not talk about crypto anymore, just life. We become good friends. So Cloud definitely had a silver lining, and yeah, all ends well. However,
this is the earning estimate here.
Yeah, so I've come up with an earnings estimate sheet here. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Can I move us? Let's scroll. So I have a sheet that you can find it in the Crankk Discord. I'll check my latest video. I have it posted in that description as well. But I've made the sheet specifically so you can edit the values at the very top, and you can speculate on your own, and it will change the formulas automatically. So you can change the price, you can change the devices online. It will give you the estimates for that day. Now, this sheet is not taking into account neighboring devices that aren't owned by you. This is to say, I own X amount of hotspots, and they're all at least seeing, they don't have to see each other, just see at least one other in your fleet. And this is generally what they're going to make. It's actually very on point if you're only witnessing your own gateways. If you're not, I do have a formula here at the bottom where, you know, whether you personally own them, if you don't, this one is not as accurate, but will still give you a ballpark range. Not financial advice, but it is here for you to use. And as I said, read the directions. You can change the Crankk price to whatever you would like it to be, to speculate on what earnings will look like if it was at 50 cents. Or right now it's currently at 13 cents, might be a little bit higher than that, but you can see what your earnings will be per day. So let's start to dissect this. When this is not the typical earning system that you're used to, when for those of you who are migrating off the Helium network. You are rewarded for beaconing regardless of whether anyone sees it or not, whether any other gateways see it and report to the blockchain or not. You do not earn more or less for beaconing. It is the same amount every time, every 4 hours. When you beacon and another hotspot witnesses it, they're rewarded a given amount. And currently the amount for both beaconing and witnessing is 0.9132. So if they reliably witness that, they get 0.9132 in Crankk tokens. Now let's say that 2 hotspots witness that beacon. It now divides that reward in half amongst those 2 hotspots, and that goes up to 5 hotspots, where that 0.9132 will be divided amongst those 5 hotspots, and it's a max of 5 hotspots. And it's also randomized to, it doesn't matter who is really first to report, in a sense. That may have something to do with it, but the blockchain mechanics of Cadena are a little bit elusive, I could say. They're pretty complex to understand the order of operations and how the transactions are batched in. So the random factor really comes from how the nodes batch in the transactions that are reported to them. And this is something that is really out of Crankk's control at this point. Now, that all being said, so if you have one gateway, just one gateway set up, one Crankk hotspot, whatever you like to call it, you get just at about 5.5 Crankk tokens earned a day. But if you get 2 hotspots set up, gateways, whatever you like to call them, each one of them, if they're witnessing each other, they're each making about almost 11 Crankk tokens a day as of right now. So that adds up to about 22 tokens a day. I'm rounding up. However, if you add another, so it doubles for both, but it does not continue to double from there on out. So you can take a look. I should plot this on a graph to illustrate the point. I'll have to add that to my list of things to do here. But it goes up to 12 on this list. And like I said, when it comes to if you have neighbors or people down the street, they have Crankk hotspots, you can change. So you own 3 personally, and you have 2 neighbors, you can change it here. It'll give you a roundabout estimate. Not 100% accurate. Now, for the Crankk tokenomics, rewards will shift after 3,800 nodes online. So that's part of this. I lost my train of thought.
Part of tokenomics.
Yeah. So, part of beta. That's why we're allowing for another 3,800 hotspots to come online. 1,000 hotspots to come online, because it makes it slightly below the 3,800 mark, where at 3,800 you start to see more sharing of the tokens that are emitted daily. So you can change the devices online to project what future earnings will look like however many months from now, when public onboarding begins and you start to get more than 3,800 devices online, because there's more people taking from that pie or the pool or whatever you'd like to call it. So let's say I enter 5,000 here. Okay, so look at the values at the bottom. So 5,000, that changes the reward for a beacon and what's split between witnesses. They'll change it to 0.686764. So that is something to consider when it comes to Crankk tokenomics. So we'll keep it at 2,800.
I'm curious if
Yes.
you were to set it to how many hotspots Helium had at its max, which was something like 800,000, just to see what it would be. Could you do that real quick?
You certainly could,
Like
but keep in
just put in
mind.
800,000.
Okay, but before we scare the audience here, part of the reason that there's staking on this network is so that people can't dump mass amounts of hardware, scrape away all the earnings, and then just allow the hardware to die on the network and leave a shell of what once was. That staking does provide for for demand of the token, where yes, more hotspots coming online because you have to stake that 100 worth of Crankk will cause the price to drastically improve in most scenarios. Keep in mind, the Crankk price as of right now, until it gets listed on a decentralized. See, Chris, you're scaring the audience. So,
sorry. I just wanted to see, because obviously that's not how it's going to happen. You can't onboard 700 and
according to the
and
balloon heads, you only need 250,000 devices online to provide good coverage. It's not a very
but they have to be
high bar
meticulously
to hop.
placed. No,
They'll be
but
placed
I'm just saying, like,
narrow.
it would never happen where 795,000 hotspots get onboarded and the price stays the same. That's just not going to happen.
It certainly.
I just wanted to see like what it would be. I think this connection is like ridiculous. StreamYard needs to fix this.
I know it's been rough with StreamYard. I think I'm gonna ditch StreamYard real soon here. Yeah. So, the current price of Crankk. Personally, if I'm about to onboard a couple gateways, I'm gonna be purchasing some Crankk today if I can, because there's gonna be people getting in late, jumping to the decks, and then buying up what's on there. I mean, that price, yes, it's going to go up. In my opinion, I can't say for sure. Yeah. And like I said, the wild card here is all the stuff that could happen within the crypto space. If we see any sort of catastrophic event with some sort of exchange collapsing, with USDT depegging. So Crankk currently is tied in with the value of Cadena. You have to buy Cadena and swap it out right now, and that's what's the trading pairs on the private DEX or the Crankk DEX. That's the trading pair that you have. So it's inherently tied to Cadena, and that is currently a factor in why the price has dropped from previous months. But regardless, I would buy some today if I was trying to get my ducks in a row. And there was something I wanted to say, but I forget exactly what it was here. Chris, you got anything? Oh, I know what it was. So how's the Crankk price? So you will see in the dashboard, if you click on the wallet at the top right hand corner, you'll see that it does have a price that's listed from your wallet. Like, so it's an estimated price, or like how do you know what the amount of stake tokens you need? Like, what comes out to $100? So what it is the Oracle factors into account the trades that have happened over the past 24 hours and the volume of those trades, and essentially comes out with a average of what the trades were, what the trading price was, and that is what calculates the price. So that is how the Crankk price is decided, and how staking is decided. The chief operations officer of Crankk writes, in Crankk, we will implement content delivery network nodes, Oracle nodes, Wi-Fi nodes, Bluetooth Low Energy nodes, and much more functionality to utilize as much possible your gateway. The Crankk Oracle network will be something very, next comment, special and used for blockchain bridges.
Also,
Well,
John said, hi, Milan. John said, hi, Milan, accept BTC. And Milan said, we have surprises for that as well. And they also have good news to share in the next couple of weeks regarding Linksdot and Bobcat, which will be exciting. They're saying this in chat. I'm reading the chat, Joe.
oh, Milan's leaking everything. What happened to surprise? Well, I guess that's all the leaders in the space. They all have the title Leaky before their name. They're just so overexcited that they can't keep anything quiet.
I think it's well deserved if you have something that's going to really improve the network and help out a lot. So excited to see what's happening.
I'll tell you what. So I'll tell you, like, when I first came to, when I was first scoping out Crankk, I was very skeptical. And I looked at everything in the Discord. I looked at what they were building. I looked at the smart contract. And this was about a year ago now. Yeah, we were looking at it. And the only real grievance we had was like, why can't we use our own devices on this network? Why do we have to buy a $400, $500 device at the time? And that was really the only thing that seemed off. Now, hindsight 2020, those device purchases, that money was used to fund the infrastructure and pay developers, which you can't call it a scam. And people are free to sell those devices for as much as they want, and people are free to purchase those devices for as much as they want. Crankk did the right thing with that money. So that was really the only thing. And then it was very quiet. Like, no one was really complaining about anything. I wasn't impressed with the mods at the time. I thought they were pretty, I don't know, mediocre. A lot of familiar faces that I didn't really care for, but that's okay. And I don't really see a lot of them around now. But, it was just like, there wasn't a lot being said. And my first comment coming into the Crankk Discord, I was like, can anyone provide me a compelling argument why this isn't a floundering project? And, Dan responded something to me, but all Peter put was the clown emoji on my comment in Discord. And, I just couldn't find, like, some people were saying it's a scam. Some people were saying, it's going to be great, but like, what's happening?
And Joe, I mean, honestly, the stuff that we were dealing with at that time too, with Rebify and Syncrobit and Nebra, all of those failed projects, like we were really skeptical at that time. So when we first saw Crankk, we were like,
But I looked at it from both lenses. I looked at it from, where's the evidence? Like, what evidence is there that this is a scam? But also, how is that evidence? How can you look at it and say it's legitimate? Because you have to be fair. You can't just go around trashing people's work when they might be doing the right thing. I mean, there's a saying, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So just because there's not all this, excitement as to what's being built doesn't mean there's not something being built. And turns out that Peter especially just really holds his cards tight to his chest. This guy just puts his head down and builds, and he has a lot of good ideas. Like, I've gotten to hear some of them, and I'm excited because Kadena is going to be a leading blockchain. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like the Kadena architecture. And there's not a lot of,
it really isn't.
There's not a lot of integrations into the rest of the crypto sphere or ecosystem from Kadena. So stay tuned. I think you're going to see some, like, he's already built a few things on it, like this private DEX, where with every other project, right, that goes on Kadena, you need to open your token up to all 20 chains to be listed on the DEX. Well, if you have a private DEX where you only have to operate on one chain and it's all done through smart contracts in a pair, you don't need to have that on all 20 chains. You don't need anyone's DEX. What Crankk has, and that's yet to be done. And it's a one-to-one pair that you don't deal with the typical things that you find in a liquidity pool. So pretty interesting thing on Kadena. I'm gonna, the system that's been built is already stress testing the Kadena infrastructure. And as I said before, I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but if you think this system is copy and paste Helium, this system has been built before Helium had their system on Solana that operates in kind of in a similar function, kind of not. But no, it's not the same thing. So, it's the peanut gallery talking out the rear, as usual.
Yeah.
Now, I heard something, and Milan never told me this, but I heard that he was actually, when he first came across Crankk, he was very, very suspicious of Crankk. And he was uncovering every rock to see what was beneath it. And Milan's one of the people who busted out IO5 with me. That's where I first came across him. And, he knew who I was. I didn't know who he was. But I won't say what exactly happened there, but I had some serious admiration for him after that. I mean, he just let those guys have it. And he was very skeptical of Crankk from what I hear, like just really looking for what's going on with this project. And when he dug more and more and more, he became convinced of the project based on his interactions with Peter. Now, that's not what Milan told me. That's what I heard from another YouTuber. So I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I've been told. And I believe it because that's the kind of guy Milan is. He's, him and I get along because we have a similar personality. But that's kind of the evolution here. So, some people don't like the name, like, seriously. I think it's a cool name, but okay, not everyone's taste. You want to laugh and call it the crack token. Well, there's names for everyone in the LoRaWAN cryptosphere. I heard the balloon heads call us crackheads, and they call the things IX guys ticks. Like TIX, but like that the bug. So for those of you who don't know what a tick is, it's the bug that will implement itself under your skin, and you get Lyme disease, and it is not pleasant whatsoever. But that's okay. We call all the guys over at Helium balloon heads because that's sort of the state of their mind, very empty but very inflated.
Yes, that's a good analogy.
I can't, I'm going off on these tangents, and I don't know if I'm going to get my live streams listed in Crankk anymore after this kind of behavior.
I think we provided a lot of good information. We didn't really get a lot of questions, but the ones that we did get, it seems like Milan. I'm having a hard time saying his name. Milan. Seems like he is answering, which is awesome that he's here because he knows the project better than both of us do. I hope so. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. We're still going strong here. We have 38 people watching. We are running it on 2 different channels. So if you see a comment pop up on the screen or you see us talking about something, and you're like, what's going on? Or what are they talking about? It's probably on the other person's stream. So,
yeah,
the Crankk dashboard.
I'm very excited for what's coming with Crankk. One of the things that has made me happiest about the progression is that the new Crankk image, as of July, you just flash that. In the case of Raspberry Pis primarily, and you can do it with Rock Pis. It depends on what kind of board you have, but the Raspberry Pi based one certainly, where you can just flash it onto a device and you don't even have to use a Crankk installer. You just browse the private IP and you do the install of it's essentially all the software through Docker and the multiplexer when you set it up, and it's all done in the local dashboard, and it makes it so easy to do whatever you want. And with that multiplexer, that really opens up, it makes the community happy, both the crypto miner side and the LoRaWAN professional side, because there are LoRaWAN professionals who are getting into these types of projects who still want to use their private stack, or they want to use the Things network, whatever it may be, or some people just want to use all networks available currently. And that's really something that Crankk has focused on heavily, is keeping the community happy. And I believe everyone in this community is heard. The suggestions area, Milan is always taking in those suggestions, no matter what they may be, no matter how harsh. He has an open mind. Sometimes you guys, you're a little too hard on the guy. I can hear it from him when I talk to him, and they're just like, I'm sure this week everyone's going to be feeling the stress. All that with that, I won't be around this week. I will be checking in as much as possible, but I'll be out on a installation out in Orlando, down in Florida. So my team, we do, like, for massive venues, we do network installs and upgrades or just overhauls, where 5 days we'll day and night rip out all this hardware, install new ones, brand new network online. So that's what I will be doing. It's bi-weekly events.
Bring a hotspot.
No.
Bring a hotspot with you.
I'll bring one to Hawk Crypto Mining. He needs one. I might be visiting Terra Hosting while I'm down there. We'll see if I have some time. But yeah, I like to go.
Oh, nice.
I'll be seeing Steve in the chat here. We'll be grabbing some dinner.
Nice. Is that North or South Florida?
I don't know. I think it's like sort of middle. It's I
don't know if the Terra Hosting thing is like public, where they're located.
It is.
I know they're in Florida.
I forget exactly what they're in Melbourne. So it's an hour. Okay. I think it's northeast of Melbourne.
The website had another overhaul, it looks like.
So I'll read some comments here. Milan says, with Crankk image, you can implement any kind of Linux-based functionality or Docker containers-based project really easy. And yes, that is. Docker's kind of becoming the standard for any sort of software implementation. So it's wonderful that Crankk has that all set to go. And yeah, anything you want to put in there, even LoRaWAN stuff, that multiplexer, extremely easy, makes this very versatile for LoRaWAN professionals. He follows up, and Crankk stay absolutely on chain. Everything can be traced on the Cadena blockchain.
Absolutely, yeah. I really liked what I discovered, which is something I should have just known the whole time. You can just export or import your private keys from a personal wallet. Let's say you have it on Zelcore or Koala or There's a couple other ones that support Kadena decentralized wallets. You can just import your key and you don't have to create a wallet. Vice versa, you could create a wallet on the Crankk network and then import those keys into your personal wallet. So it's awesome. You actually need to do that if you want to send any Crankk or Kadena from any one of those wallets to a different wallet, anything like that.
Marco writes, the Crankk software looks better than the Helium crap. I would agree. Greetings to you as well, Marco. 619 OTA, give my doggo tick meds every 3 months. Ticks are nasty.
I had a tick on me last night.
Uh, 619 OTA. I just need to buy a license like ASAP. I can stake later, right? Yes, that's correct. So as long as you get the license and that's in your dashboard, you can let it sit for a little bit. It's assigned to that wallet. You can assign a gateway later. You can stake later. That's totally fine.
But keep in mind the amount of Crankk needed, like the total amount of Crankk could fluctuate. So that's something you just want.
Yes, that is a great point. So if you're going to buy your Crankk now, but you're not going to buy the full amount, I mean, the amount that you're going to need in the future is going to be different based on whether the price goes up or down. Now, after the beta closes out, you can almost assume, like after 2-3 weeks, that the price doesn't start going down because there's no more onboardings happening for a given time. Now, that could very well change depending on what is coming down the pipeline, because between now and public onboarding, there could be something else that allows for staking. However, what did we see last time? It was the consensus. So something similar could happen. Steve Al-Jassam writes, why don't you invite Milan to come on the show and talk? Well, Milan is always invited on the show, and he was on the show recently. If you'd like to come on now, all he has to do is send me a message on Telegram, and I'll send him the link if you'd like to. 12 race now. Next time when Grizzlies say Crankk, we need to drink. No, next time he says effing Crankk. He's done that twice. So all of us Cranksters drink every time he says effing Crankk.
Marco said yesterday, I onboarded Things IX using the Crankk SW,
software,
which is awesome.
Yeah, it's great. You want to keep reading?
Yeah, he makes a good point. Helium doesn't like to share any of it. That's what we mentioned earlier. Like they claim to be the people's network, but anytime someone seems to want to get involved, it's like, yeah, you can do it, but you got to pay us. And it's like that's scummy business practice. I understand it's a for-profit business at the end of the day, but like if you really want to build a network, you got to look at the longevity, not just trying to get all the money in the beginning, which I think what ended up happening, especially with all the onboarding costs. I know we discussed it recently, and by recently, like within the past couple of months, they still had the $10 fee to onboard hotspots like now, like when the demand has completely died out, and it's these manufacturers have no incentive to keep going because they have to pay like what, 70, isn't it like $70 for the manufacturer side, and then we get rewarded with a $10 free onboard. Like it's just eating their costs. So
yeah, and that's another thing. I've been hearing a lot of bad things about Bobcat. Depending on who you talk to, the story is going to be different. So I'm not going to spread rumors other than that one I spread like a year ago saying, they're going to run off and start their own network. IoT cat token. Mm-hmm. That was kind of funny. People got really butthurt over that because it's a serious threat to the network. Yeah, well, someone sent me a Bobber 500 on board, and I couldn't onboard it for 2 months because those data credits were empty in Bobcat's account. That's what happened recently. Like, did anyone on this network, other than Seed Studio, SenseCap, does anyone else have like a grasp on what's going on with Helium. And we've talked
Seed
to
Studio is on top of it.
Oh yeah. But
Yeah.
we've heard plenty of complaining from a few of their reps about Helium. And I don't blame them. I don't blame Seed Studio. They are competent, and they've always been good to us. I mean, we don't make a whole lot peddling Seed Studio hardware, but we do. We get the hardware, but it's good hardware. They're good people to work
Yeah.
with.
The,
I don't
the
care
Nokia
about
phones of the Helium.
But everyone else, it's like a massive cluster. All right, well, we'll continue. Frominator, things I X is very easy to implement from on Crankk from my experience. Marco writes, the video Joe uploaded recently to onboard things I X was my Bible to make it. So, 6-1 IoT turned my lower miner into dual miner, Crankk and things I X plus Pi-hole. Very nice. Well, I'll say this. Well, I have nothing against things I X. I actually like them. I'm supporting them just as I will any project that is building honestly and that has, that has good ideas and that wants to be fair and somewhat democratic in their method of governance. So we'll see how it turns out. I think, and I had them on for an interview. I appreciate them giving me the first interview. Everyone knew things IX developers coming into this. Tim and the other ones that I'm not so familiar with, but they kind of got like the white list from everyone. No one really interrogated them or investigated them the way that they did with Crankk, because they knew Tim beforehand and he produced long AP on the Helium network, which is a tremendous piece of hardware. So they didn't get the scrutiny, which I get it, but I don't necessarily like it. I think what they're doing is great, but they were taken as a massive threat to Helium. I mean, people in Helium were very concerned about that network because they know what Tim's skills are like, and he's a good guy. And I think because he didn't participate in what I call the circle jerk of opinion, they did not want to hear it from him, and he went and said, okay, I'm just going to start my own network. Now, Peter, on the other hand, kind of came out of nowhere because he, like I said, he just puts his head down and works. You don't hear a lot from him. And then out of nowhere, you have like just this magnificent system with all sorts of ideas from different areas in IoT and blockchain. And I think what's happening now is with all the things that Crankk has produced up to this point, people are taking a step back and saying, we were laughing at this project before, but they've really have made some serious headway that totally flew under the radar. And they might be the threat now. And you see all these people who are now able to onboard their devices to the other network that is emerging, things IX, because Crankk software makes it so easy to do so. And this is really throwing a lot of people for a loop, and they're reconsidering. Some people aren't laughing so much anymore. Now they want to take a second look and try to understand and open up some communication. And some of them we welcome. The cancer.
Real quick.
Go ahead. Yes.
Just, John, yes, turn on packet forwarder.
Oh, we got a geek of all trades, Ray.
Yes. Uh-oh.
He's a fellow Crankster. Yeah. Look, we have some serious heavy hitters here in the Crankk community. Some of my friends over at the Misfit Miners. I think you've seen some Crankk videos from Red Panda if you haven't already. Yeah. Misfit Miners had me on their Saturday Night Live to talk about it. And yeah, there's a few others. I've reached out to other YouTubers, and some of them, like, one of them, everyone will know his name, reached out to me and asked me a question about a different project, and I gave him all the information I had and what my grievances were, right? And I have a lot of respect for this guy, a lot of respect, but I write him like 4 paragraphs to answer his question. Then I say, hey, do you want to repurpose your Helium hotspot on Crankk, get the license, and I'll just give you the staking fees. And look, you don't have to make a video. You can make a video if you want. You can air your grievances. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. I just want you to have this. And I got left on fucking red. Now, I don't take offense to that because I've talked to other YouTubers and he does the same crap to them. But it's like, it would be nice if I at least got, like, go F yourself in response. But that's just him. No offense taken. It's
funny.
No, it wasn't Vosscoin. Vosscoin doesn't even open my DMs. Hey, remember that time I was in a Vosscoin video?
I do. How times have changed.
Oh God, that was like the highlight of my YouTube career almost. I mean, waking up one morning, I got like 15 messages. People are texting me. I got Discord going off. I'm like rubbing my eyes, going, "What is going on?" I'm in a Vosscoin video. What?
Dude, did you get a lot of followers and stuff from that? Because I remember...
Yeah, I got like 3 followers. I got 3 followers.
Oh, wow.
But oh,
so
God.
I know when we were on Panda's stream.
I was on Panda's stream a couple times. I love being
but when we were, like, that... My sub count just went up, like, by 150. Like, it's people... It's crazy the difference in the difference in the following.
Geez, I get like 200, 300 because he links it in the chat. But with Voss, he gave me credit for the clip, but it was just he clipped it out. So, anyways, it went.
You know what?
What?
I'm in a Vosscoin video too.
What? Come on, man. So, yeah, you were. So he, anyways, long story short, what happened was the video he was talking about was at Hip 51 that I fought against because it was just a dumb idea, and he clipped it and used it in his video, and of course, everyone in Helium was very agitated about that whole change. So they just started like bombarding the Helium Discord, trashing everyone who supported the moderators, Helium Foundation, and all his fans. And of course, I got blamed for his opinion, and I just reveled in it. It was like the best feeling ever. It's all Joe's fault. He thinks like that. Why does Vosscoin watch his videos? And I blamed 619 OTA for that because he's the one that posted in Vosscoin's Discord. So I got my 5 minutes of fame, and it just, that's when I was on the Helium shit list, like, indefinitely. But who turned out to be right in the end? Now we're considering going back. Well, not we're, because I don't care. I mean, they're considering going back, reversing this whole Hip 51 thing. They're changing the metrics of it. And look, I hate saying I told you so, because when I say I told you so, it's probably not a very good thing to begin with. We are going to bring on a special guest by request. Milan, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
I just can jump for 5 minutes before dinner time.
We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the perfect live stream and for a free speech that we really like in Crankk. Everyone can share his opinion. As you, as ambassadors, you know, we didn't guide you what to do, how to do. Everyone is absolutely free to discuss, to give us their feedback, bad or good. It's a help in both of the ways.
Of course, yeah. I can't say that Crankk has ever told me what to say or what to do, but I'm always happy to support. I think this is the forum in Crankk, or I should say the Discord, or whatever you want to call it. The speech is open for anyone who'd like to contribute their ideas. We have open ears and open minds.
Yes, we didn't ban almost no one. We didn't delete comments, and we really think about that. Why someone start some kind of hating? Something maybe it's behind that. If it's because of us, because we made a mistake, or yes, we know that we had some small delays in here and there, but it's not a major delays when we built everything from ground zero. And Crankk produced by ourselves in-house all softwares that you needed for the all kind of hardwares that we provide. We don't partnership till now. We still not partnerships with no one from the manufacturers, from the vendors, and for other networks like Helium. And I came from Helium in the past. I really like the idea behind the Helium, but what's it turned on? Yes, everyone know the story. But in Crankk, we do not put any hate against Helium or ThinkX or any kind of network, TTN, or doesn't matter, because we believe everyone need to be equal and in much possible fairness. And if we can produce a software that it make the users easier to onboard the device, to use the device in different networks or multiple networks, we do not want to stop no one. In Crankk, we will not ban as well no one as a gateway because of the Crankk ranking system. And we choose this way because if you invest something, let's say if you buy a car from some manufacturer, I don't want to mention brands, and if they ban you to use this gas station or other gas stations, this is control over your money. And because of that, we work by ourselves to provide the open source software for the gateways, for all kinds of gateways. It's not only Helium gateways that most of the people say it, but these gateways like Cortex, like Kerlink, like Bobcat. Yeah, the Bobcat is a brand name, but the company behind the Bobcat earlier say it that they build. Maybe they will move to own IoT network. They have own IoT network. It's years ago. This is their main business of the manufacturer, but Bobcat is just a brand front name, and you can easily find the device that it's the same, but it's not a black one. And in Crankk, we work on Raspberry Pis, on Rock chips, on different hardwares like Matchx. It's absolutely old. It's the oldest hardware that we ever touched, and it's so low with so low specifications. And in using the oldest way of the memory, is not a eFlash, is not MMC, is not SD card. They're using something like MDB 20 years ago, and the device is very restricted for everything that you can imagine, and they don't have the second LoRa concentrator. Maybe most of you know that. Yeah. They have only one. And other devices like Kerlink, their own single board computers or own operation systems. Crankk work on all these kind of hardwares by ourselves, and our developers in-house do the software, the Cortex to work on Crankk. That means all custom software, custom configurations, and the Bobcats to work on Crankk. This is for the first time someone managed to do it with own software. I don't want to share how, but it's very complicated, and it's a guy from our team, Kalin Karsan. He is the main dev based on Bobcat. He managed to do the Bobcats, and I believe no one before that managed to do this. And we managed to run the almost all functionality of the Bobcats, and this without any information provided by the manufacturers. This is reverse engineering. In reverse engineering, you don't have the deadlines. You don't know when you can accomplish to do that. But if someone have any questions regarding Crankk, or just I pop up for 5-10 minutes and I can answer everything.
I have a question. So
Yes.
there is on the website, it says Bobcat 1 gigabyte RAM. That's a Bobcat V1. Will the later versions be supported as well?
There are 5 versions of Bobcat. 2 of them are PX30 chipset, 3 of them are Rockchip 3566. We'll have a news next week. Following week, we will make the announcement. Bobcat and all rock chips are very complicated to be built because, first of all, to go back a little bit, before we start to work on the Bobcat and to start to work on the other rock chips or different base single board computers, we produce our own Crankk operating system based on Linux. And this costs as well 1 month work, because to build our own operating system that after that you can add on top different kinds of hardwares is not easy. And now it's more easier to add more different gateways, hardwares on Crankk network. But everyone can see that you need a LoRa gateway only for the LoRa part. But you can buy a USB dongle kit for your computer and you can, or laptop, and you can use your laptop or computer for the LoRa gateway as well with our softwares. And Crankk opened the market for everyone with any kind of hardware on the market in the world, with computer, laptops, phones, maybe in the future, to be a CDN node, a Bluetooth node, Wi-Fi node, Oracle node, LoRa node, consensus node, and this will be widely available for everyone. And we have a new implementation that in next following week everyone can see it. It's regarding the Cadena nodes, because Crankk building the project, but we're not building the blockchain. And Cadena provide a lot of solutions of blockchain, and one of the solutions that everyone can run a Cadena node. This is not a part of Crankk project, but if you would like and you have the knowledge to manage to run the Cadena node, you can forward your gateways to communicate with your own Cadena private node. That for now, all Crankk users using Crankk private Cadena nodes. It's not a public Cadena nodes. We have more than 12, I think, Cadena nodes right now in different places in the world, in USA, in Australia, in Europe. And step by step, we're adding more Cadena nodes. And this will help for your connectivity. And yes, as I say, I can say a lot of good things that will be happening next couple of weeks, but yes, I don't want to share it. And I answered some of the questions regarding to accept the BTC on Crankk. Crankk it's more like a business. It's a business project. It's a business company. It's a Crankk Incorporated in USA, and crypto is part of the Crankk. But we look really seriously like a one-stop shop unification, like for the LoRa part, for the IoT part. But it's the same for the crypto. In Crankk, the Oracle network will be part of the blockchain bridges, and will be not only the BTC. And I don't want to speculate and to share more, but as you know, maybe the time will come.
Tiptoeing right up to the line.
Yes, and this will help. Why we'll do this? Why we'll do this? Because a lot of countries in the world restrict the exchanges, and as our idea in Crankk, everything to be possible in the hand of the users and the community, we give them the same. If, let's say, only one crypto exchange in the world are available in their country, they can use this exchange for the BTC or Ethereum, and can use our project without any barrier. It's limitless, because the way that we will implement our solutions is the first time in Cadena blockchain, and we already proved with DEX. Our DEX with order books is the first one DEX ever built on Cadena in this way. How it's work? It's controlled by the smart contract and the Oracle nodes, and because of that, the Oracle nodes will have a big part of the Crankk project on the entire network.
It's exciting. It's very exciting.
Just shoot me with questions. What you and if you have it, or community.
I've been telling them to send questions all day. They don't seem to have a lot. They must have.
Yeah, if you get.
They must be waiting to ask you in the Discord, Milan.
Everyone asks mostly that for the license and for the. We're not calling staking because it's not exactly a staking. It's a participation of the network. Because in the past, the most used was, and still Ethereum use it, proof of stake. In Crankk, this word it's changed to proof of trust. Proof of trust, it's a combination and hybrid version between proof of work and proof of stake. You can't participate in the reward structure if you not participate with the tokens that we ask for the locking, and this helps for the entire network to be more stable. Because earlier you explained it and your video explained it. If everyone joined just for the mining to receive the rewards, and after that to sell it, to dump it on the market, this is no any future and long-term stable for the project. Because of that, Crankk it's choose the way for the participation, and you can participate in different nodes. Your own hardware can be used for LoRa node, can be used for the Bluetooth node or Wi-Fi node, and each node can give you rewards in different way. The CDN network nodes, it's a really good solution as well, and these rewards that you can make with the same hardware do not need to pay any other software. You just need to participate to lock your tokens on the time that they was given. If we say it for the proof of network participation, it's $100 in Crankk tokens, and everyone asks us why we do not sell the software license on Crankk, or to ask all the time Crankk to be used. Everyone can see the experience with other projects in the past. When the token are mainly used for the buying the license, after that the company needs to sell these tokens, to dump it on the market, to put it back for the salary, for the servers, for the expenses, day-to-day based operations. And this is not helping to the network. This is only day-by-day pump. And Crankk is not built on pump and dump, and we're not speculating with the price, and this is forbidden by the law. And we're not focused on this, how to rise up the price. The price of the token will be of the way how the community decide to be. Because of the ecosystem that Crankk built and implemented inside, it's really to use the Crankk token for everything, for the voting power. That soon will be implemented and explain it. And for the onboarding, the sensors, as earlier we said, the Crankk network will be for free. To use the data transfer, yes, will be for free. Not need to use to buy any tokens or anything else. Just you need to pay the onboarding fee for the sensor. And you can pay it in different ways, but this will be down the road explain it. And I explain exactly why you use the proof network participations, proof of trust method that's combined and hybrid between proof of stake and proof of work. But the license, everyone asks why we need to pay $150 about the license. We built everything that everyone can use it and see the public dashboard, the Explorer, the local dashboard, the DEX, the servers, everything, all softwares and image files for all kinds of different hardwares. We do not sell hardwares. We do not have incomes. Somehow, we choose the way to work like Uber, Airbnb, Microsoft, all other companies in the world work. They sell their software and their knowledge or resell it. We're the one that we create the software and we put the price. And if this price need to be for the, let's say, a small private business, not a global one focus, the price for our software will be $1,000 per license, because we solve the issues for a lot different brands. And you can check if one small company in your area making a software for the, let's say, for the restaurants, how much will cost this software for the restaurant? And this software will work only on the specific computer with specific phone to serve to your clients. Maybe $150 or $200 per month, or few $1,000 per year license. And we think the price for $150 it's really low, because in this $150 we pay all marketing. At the moment we have zero marketing. We just are focused on community and our ambassadors, but we need to pay to ambassadors, we need to pay to the entire infrastructure, we need to pay to all employees, we need to save some of this for the future expenses and for the global companies that we registered in worldwide. And $150 end of the day, it's, if you spread it on the percentages, it's in the company it's almost nothing. And we're not on funds, we're not on grants, and we're not offer Crankk to be sold out as an IPO or pre-sale tokens or something like this. We didn't sell ourselves. Yes, in the future we apply for grants and funds, but this will be after we established our project and after we can show to the world what we can do. Yes, ask anything if you want, and I can answer.
Love it. That's excellent. Yeah, I mean, I hit on that same point. Not no more freebies just to make money in this space to begin with. But yeah, what you guys did when it came to the hardware that was sold and the software that was sold, it went back into Crankk. So there's really,
the software, the hardware earlier that we started, that we saw the hardware in the past was with a partnership company, because they had the stock of the hardware, and this was one of the options to reach early birds participations, and we give them a lot to these participations, and the network was built based on this part that we see everyone. It was built based on the feedback of the community, of the alpha groups, let's say, and we continue to ask everyone for the feedbacks that they have it. Yes, we know that we need to work to polish the RF part, we need to polish this and that, but we try to keep Crankk a pure RF as much possible. So the rewards that you explained earlier, and you spoke regarding the Helium and Crankk, how we confirm the witnesses in Crankk. There, the blockchains, the Canadian blockchain make the block every 30 seconds, and yes, you're limited by 30 seconds to reach your witness to confirm, but not the first 5. We choose 5 by random, and this is a different part from the chip stack and LoRa connectivity. This is the blockchain part, and we do not need to put more witnesses in this rewarding system, because the entire project can work without the witness and beaconing. But the LoRa part, it's absolutely centralized, but the blockchain part, it's absolutely decentralized. And this way we make the consensus. Everyone can be a consensus in Crankk, and very low barrier. Is not hundreds of thousands of dollars to be a consensus, and it's very low barrier to be decentralized and distributed. And in this way we try to reach as much possible decentralization into the project, and everyone can be part of the project in real way. If he believe and like the project, he can participate in more utilization, more nodes. He can participate in proof of trust for the consensus of proof network or CDN, what he can use and he like it.
Sorry, everything all right?
Yes, I just stopped maybe because someone would like to ask.
No, I'm looking at some of these comments here. I think Chris has a troll on his live stream, so I was.
Yes.
It's not in my live stream because I was about to bring down the band hammer. Excuse me. No, go ahead.
Something else to say. The Crankk installer day by day will be removed, because we moved all functionality from the Crankk installer into the local dashboard, first of all. Second of all that you need to be installed. It's pre-installed
Sure.
with the latest image. The questions Sebastian Haigu asked, what is the ambassador for Europe, guys? We have few ambassadors in the world. You can check on Discord. We have Telegram groups for each, almost few of the countries in Europe, and it depends of the country that you like. Or you can use any kind of the ambassador code if you like the ambassador. Like John, Chris, they help with a lot solutions with videos and content. And if you like them, you can use their ambassador codes. It's not need to be especially for your place, especially for your country, or especially for your part of the world. The ambassadors are more community leaders that they collect the feedbacks, they help to the community, they speak their native language, and because of that, the ambassadors is very hard program to be organized. A lot of interest to the ambassador because people see only the money, but the ambassadors is not our employees. They are not chosen by the way that to make money. No, the ambassadors was invited and they never knew the rules. We start to communicate each other how to make it, and we started. Now the ambassadors is something like beta group ambassadors and beta program. In the public onboarding will be changed, and the ambassadors it's more to community person that you need to help to the community to share the information, to update with the latest information. Is not pure affiliate system.
We do have a question in the chat from Sofa King Touge.
What is the Oracle nodes? Is that different from the regular nodes? Yes, the Oracle nodes it's absolutely different. The Oracle nodes it's if let's say I would like to sell one gateway and Joe would like to buy it, I send the gateway transaction to the Oracle nodes. Joe send the money, the crypto to the Oracle nodes, and the Oracle nodes confirm they receive the hardware, they receive the money, and they can exchange it. After that, they send the hardware to Joe and the payment to me. They confirm that both of us receive what we need to receive, what we agree to receive. And let's say 20 Oracle nodes are on the table, and 19 of them, they confirm. That's mean 95% of it's confirming the transaction. That's mean it's true. The Oracle node is third party that confirm the transaction of between two or more parts that they agree to do something. And the Oracle network can be used for the NFT projects, for the game projects, for the blockchain bridges, for the DEX, for a lot of things, and almost no limits. And we have some partnerships on the way, and they will use the Oracle networks, and our Oracle networks can be cheaper than other Oracle networks on Cadena or any other chains, because we're using the hardware that we provide as Oracle network, and he participates in the confirmation process of the oracles.
So would you say that the Oracle nodes, once released to the public, may be a lucrative opportunity?
Now the Oracle networks were built a long time ago in Crankk, and they're implemented, but we're using them internally for the DEX, for the different transactions, and checking consensus. Now our Oracle nodes as well checking the consensus nodes. But yes, the Oracle nodes sooner or later will place in the what way we can participate in the Oracle network, Oracle nodes in Crankk Oracle network. I don't want to share any information right now because it's a lot of calculations and a lot need to be done in next couple of months for the Oracle nodes.
I have another question.
Okay, one more question, and I need to go for a dinner. Sorry, guys.
When can we test a Cadena node, please? Steve, I'm not sure there might be a miscommunication here. So the Cadena nodes are really like servers that are run on the Cadena network that are handling the transactions and feeding them to the proof of work miners on the network. So you can test your own Cadena node whenever you would please, if you know how to change that in the Crankk software. Am I saying that right, Milan?
Cadena nodes are not made by us. Is not controlled by us. Cadena nodes are node solution by Cadena, and you can check their forums, their website, and if you have the knowledge, you can run by yourself your Cadena node, and to monitor the Cadena node and to set up the Cadena node. From Crankk side perspective, we give the option to forward your calls to Cadena nodes. If you build your own Cadena node, you can forward your calls to your own Cadena node. And this will be a private node. Will be no queue on the Cadena node, no delay on the Cadena node. The implementation, you need to follow the Cadena forums, as I said. From the Crankk side, will be very easy. Just from the local dashboard, you can forward the calls there with a link. It's nothing special. Just you place the IP of the server, and that's it. But you need to configure the Cadena node by yourself, and it's not so easy. And to maintenance 24/7 is not so easy. It's for us, it's very expensive because one Cadena node need to be run to work properly on NVMe, and need to be run on good server provider. And we're using one of the best server providers in the world, and one Cadena nodes need to minimum 300 gigabytes of hard drive or SSD or NVMe, but we are using NVMe's and processor and a little bit RAM. But the setting and the configuration and the updates that you need to follow all the time, the updates, it's a little bit it's not cost effective if you run only one gateway. But if you run multiple gateways or consensus nodes or Oracle nodes, you can use our own private Cadena node.
Yeah, that was what I started working on this weekend, and it became complicated very fast. But yeah, that's good to hear.
Yes,
I'm happy.
I can confirm that the Cadena node management, because we are doing micromanagement on our Cadena nodes with the queues. For the DEX, we have a different Cadena node. For the wallets balance, we have a different Cadena nodes. For the witnessing beacon, for the consensus, and each queue we have a load balancers, and this is ultra complicated. If you have the knowledge, you can help for yourself and for the network. Everyone will be welcome to do that because this is free and available by Cadena. It's not by us, and we will not hide this. We would like to share to everyone to have the knowledge to do this, because in this way they will help to themselves if they run the Cadena nodes for better Cadena calls, and this help to the Crankk network at all.
We're going to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for your time, and if you have any questions, everyone is very welcome to join on Crankk Discord or Crankk Telegrams. In next following week, we will share the announcement regarding the Beta 2.0, what we would like to say and what we have to say. And a lot of I see some comments that they think that tomorrow we start or 1st of August. No, the Beta 2.0 start from the week that is from 30 August to 30 July till 6th of August. But in this week we'll make the announcement with exact date. Maybe it will be 5th or 3rd of August or 6th of August. If we need to have a delay, we'll share it, why, and we'll explain it. But for now, let's say everything is on the schedule. But we have really good news and big surprise.
Milan, thank you for coming on the live stream and sharing that with us.
Thank you very much for your time. And
enjoy your dinner.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Joe. Have a nice, lovely rest of the day.
You too.
You too. Dude.
Yeah.
My dog just freaked out. Sorry for stepping away for a moment. I don't know what's going on with her, but my dad's home, so he's taking care of it.
So
awesome having him on. Was not expecting that.
Wonderful.
So
how much longer are we going to be on here for?
I mean, I'm ready when you are. I've been up a very long time today.
Chris, you're cutting out.
3 hours of sleep, so.
I hear you. I was up all night making videos. Are you about ready to call it a,
I don't know what's going on.
Geek of all
trades.
Thank
I guess so.
You're
put some outro guitar music.
I'm about to.
We got 41 people watching right now. If you guys haven't already, please consider subscribing to both of our channels. It goes
Say
a long
what?
way. You get notifications. We're going to be posting a lot. I was just talking as you're doing the outro here. Is it cutting out?
Excuse me. Yeah, that's what we're doing, I guess. What are we doing?
So if you guys haven't considered, please subscribe to both of our channels. What is happening? Why is this connection?
Remember, ambassador
connection
code
is so awful.
If you'd like to use my ambassador code, it is network Chris. Is Chris. Both are in all lowercase. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you tuning in. Any further questions? Feel free to send me a DM or post them in the Crankk Discord. And we have plenty of content coming out, instructional videos, and further follow-on content on Crankk and all things crypto. And I hope you all enjoy your Helium Halving.
And Litecoin.
Who the hell said we're streaming over the network? The Helium Network. Ban them. Ban them. All right. It's been fun. Appreciate you all watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And be sure to watch the Crankk Discord for the onboarding happening this week. Everyone have a great weekend.